And what's good? What's good? What's good? This be your boy Scott about Nature TV, and we're here for a brand new episode of Yes for the Mess. Okay, now before we get into today's mess, let's talk about what we got coming up. Be sure to be back here on Monday at 9:15 Eastern Time so we can talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac. Yes, the Whether You Like It or Not panel is now in its fourth season, and we will be starting over on Yah Cortez's page. So be on the lookout for us over on Yah's channel on October the 10th on Monday at 9:15 Eastern Time. Be there or be square. Tonight at 8/7 Central, we'll be over on my channel tonight for Roasted Review. Me, Terrence, and Josiah will be discussing Love and Marriage Huntsville, this past episode that came on Saturday, as well as other things in regards to Love and Marriage Huntsville. So be on the lookout for us today at 8/7 Central. Okay, on Thursday, which is tomorrow, be on the lookout for the interview with myself and Jamar with Latrice Rogers of Bell Collective. She'll be coming in and she'll be talking about the season, behind the scenes tea, the reunion, and what's to come for her and this second part of the reunion that will be airing on Friday night. So be on the lookout for that. On Friday night, as you guys already know, it's BNO week, which means Boys Night Out is here. We're here for the fifth episode. Okay, be ready for some shade, some laughs, some real talk. Just funny, just all together. We're going to have us a great time on Friday. Unfortunately, Maddie will not be in attendance with us on Friday night. However, Tramel will be a special guest host on Friday night. So be on the lookout for that. I'm still trying to figure out what time am I going to do this open panel for LAMH. I'm looking at Saturday, but my friend's death anniversary is on Sunday, and they're doing a balloon release for him. So I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do the panel or not. I want to do it on Sunday, but I don't know because Potomac comes on Sunday as well, and I have to do my review that same night, so I'm not really sure. But we will figure it out as time goes on because this episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville that's coming up needs to be discussed amongst the fans. So be on the lookout for that, okay? So, oops. I don't like that. So, with that being said, we're about to go ahead and get into today's mess for today, okay? So we're gonna start this thing off with Miss Karen, okay? We're gonna start this thing off with Miss Karen Huger, okay? She recently did an interview where she discussed the Real Housewives of Potomac this up and coming season, as well as her defending Candiace as well. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to what Miss Karen had to say. We're gonna dissect it and move on to the next. So let's get into what Miss Karen had to say about the Real Housewives of Potomac. Let's get into it, y'all.
I'm just gonna say season 7, RHOP does not disappoint. It's epic. It's epic. Okay. You do not want to miss it. Period. We bring it. And you don't, after watching our successful seasons in the past, you don't think we can up our game, but we do. Yeah. Which is a blessing. And we thank the fans for the love and support and watching us do that and encouraging us to do that. So, yeah, it's epic. Season 7 is fire.
In our marriage, you said that I could have eye candy. Karen was sneaking out of town with someone that wasn't friend.
First of all, let's stress the word rumor. But then I am the Ron Dom, so, hey. But I'll say it's rumors, and I don't have time for rumors. So, I'm focused on my family. Everyone knows I'm family oriented. I'm into my business. I will say that initially I was saddened to hear Candiace say that, but Candiace came back strong, and I want the viewers to really pay attention to that because that propelled us to a better place. But yeah, I don't listen to rumors. Hey, rumors swirl around me every 5 minutes. I'm about the business. I'm about family, and I'm about just being happy and having fun. And that's what I set out to do this season. I actually, had time with Raven this season, and it was beautiful. The viewers will be able to watch that. And Ray and I, hey, what can I say? The institution is alive and well, and Mr. Huger is a handful. So I am working it out with my boo. But, that's what we do. The institution is the institution, and it's alive and well.
You and Michael are getting a divorce.
We are. Ashley told me herself she was seeking a divorce. And so I was not surprised when it was revealed to the group or to Gizelle. But my thing is to be there for Ashley. Divorce is not easy. I've been through one myself. So I actually am rooting for reconciliation always if it can happen. But if not, I want her to be happy, and I'll be there for her and her sons, to support her. So happiness is all that matters, and especially after getting through the pandemic. After you get through the pandemic, it puts things in perspective. And her happiness is all I care about. You know what? Nikki's always welcome, in my opinion. But we have to ask Andy. And Andy will let us know about that. I would not be opposed to my girl Riri. I am ready to see Rihanna. I've seen Nikki. I enjoy Nikki. I'm cool with Nikki. Let's bring some Riri. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I really, she's evolved as well. She's a mommy now, and I'm super excited.
Our class remains unmatched.
I would just say stay tuned because, it's a lot of smoking mirrors. It's a lot of popping off. It's everything. Just buckle up, okay? You won't be disappointed. We bring it.
What you will not do is with my mother. You understand me? I will whoop your ass in this place.
Well, the reason why there are 4 OGs is that we're very real. We're one of the few franchises. So it's because the fans allow us to share that realness and they respond to it. So we really do not control how long this will go on because we walk hand in hand with the fans. And as long as the fans are interested, I know for myself, I'm going to keep peeling back the layers. There's no end to Karen Huger. Okay. So, this season, I can say I peeled back another layer because I am coming out of the pandemic and humor is very important to me. Even when I face like craziness during the season, I'm like, let me put some humor on this because that's another side that brought me joy in the pandemic. And I wanted to share that with the viewers. So I'll say, as long as the fans stay tuned, the 4 OGs are going to ride hard. I'm just going to say,
Well, y'all heard from the Grand Dame, okay? The Grand Dame said that the Real Housewives of Potomac is not gonna miss. We're gonna have us a good ass time. We're gonna love it and everything like that. You know what I mean? She said season 7 is going to be everything. Is going to be everything we need and more. And listen, I cannot wait to see season 7 of the Real Housewives of Potomac. I must say that. So let's move on to the next thing. We're gonna move on to Miss Gizzard. We're gonna move on to Gizzard, honey. We're gonna move on to Gizzard. Gizzard Bryant. Okay, we're gonna move on to her. Now, she recently did an interview where she discussed her relationship with Candiace. I think she did an interview with who is it? I think it was Hollywood Life. She did an interview with Hollywood Life or whatever. And she basically said she was talking about Candiace and she shared what made her reevaluate her relationship with Candiace. Okay. This is what she said in the interview. Now I'm looking at this from All True Tea. Shout out to Mo, okay, from All True Tea. And it said, what does it say? It says, what does change my perspective of that whole fallout was I found out later that because, I was very team Candiace about that. Gizelle at 52 told us exclusively ahead of season 7, which starts on October the 9th. She didn't appreciate it or care one way or another. So as a friend of mine, I'm like, wait a minute, I was riding for you and she couldn't care less. Gizelle explained that Candiace's lack of appreciation for her support during season 5 was hurtful to the mother of 3. And that made me reevaluate the friendship, she added. Gizelle also confirmed to us that the relationship with Candiace is the worst it's ever been. 100% yeah, with no turnaround, she said. My thing is this right here. This is my thing. Gizelle always does this. And I've been saying this from the very beginning, and I'm going to say it again. Her so-called allegiance to Candiace during that whole fight with Monique was only because she did not like Monique. Let's just be all the way real with the shit. She never liked Monique. So therefore, when Candiace and Monique got into that fight, she took that as her silver bullet and decided to ride on it. That's what she did. And she did it quite well, I must say. She did that. She used it as a way to get Monique off the show. She did not care about Candiace. I've never felt like Gizelle was ever Candiace's real friend. She was only using Candiace to do her dirty work when it came down to Monique. And she used Monique too. As a matter of fact, I've always blamed Gizelle for pitting the two against each other because that's exactly what happened. She put them two against each other, and that's just dead on it. She did it. She did that. Like I just feel like it was a bunch of bullshit. Like the fact that she wanted to sit up and play that game and act like she's so goddamn innocent and shit, that's not it. You're not innocent, baby girl. You just not. You're not innocent at all. You played those two against each other and you want some type of like, you know, trophy because you quote unquote had her back throughout the Monique thing. No, you only had her back for your own personal gain. And that's just really what it is. So this is why I would never give Gizelle any grace. I try to give her grace sometime, and there are times where I give her a teaspoon of grace. But this is why I don't like Gizelle, and this is why I don't fuck with her. She's very disingenuous. There's nothing genuine about her. And like I always said, I've never cared for Gizelle. And I always felt like Gizelle was full of shit. Always felt that way. Always felt that way. Like, especially when it came down to the fight with Candiace and Monique, I always said she's not supporting her genuinely. She's supporting her because she don't like Monique. That's it. She used this situation, which was Candiace's own hurt and pain, to her own benefit. That's what she did. Now, I have another story about Candiace, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into what she had to say in response to Gizelle's story because to Gizelle's interview because she has some things to say about that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna share the screen. We're gonna share the screen real quick, okay? So this is also coming from All True T. Shout out to Mo once again. So this is what was said, y'all. Let me go and do it like I'm gonna do it like this. Okay. Okay, so this is what she said in response to this interview. Now, Candiace said, let's be honest, you are no one's friend. You come, collect a check, and go home to those purple walls. The small part of me that did want to believe, the small part of me that did want to believe you weren't total garbage woke up when you decided to get creative with my husband. Okay, what's next up on here? And don't insult my intelligence with this victimization that you pulled out your hind parts at 5 o'clock today. It's as believable as your storylines. And that was the whole interview that I just read to you guys or whatnot. So yeah, that's it. And honestly, like I said, I've been telling y'all that Gizelle never really cared for Candiace. I've always said that. I've always told y'all that. A lot of y'all didn't want to hear nothing I had to say, but it was the truth. She never cared about Candiace. That was never her friend. But however, Candiace was on Carlos King's podcast, and she had some things to say as well about some other things. Let's listen to what Candiace had to say on the podcast. Let's check that out.
As like Gizelle is very flirty with Chris. And Chris flirts back with Gizelle. And this happens in front of me. And it has never given me pause or made me feel threatened in any kind of way because Chris does not want Gizelle's 50-year-old puss. Why would he want that when he has this? So it also just kind of gave me, okay, this is excess flirtatious energy coming from a woman who doesn't have that at home. This is just something that she does. Gizelle has a history and there's a reputation there of her being fast. So, I see her flirting with Chris and it's like, oh, po thing. He may be attracted. She's a beautiful woman. I'm attracted to Gizelle. She's a beautiful woman.
Like she is a beautiful woman. Gizelle's gorgeous. Okay? Yes, I agree.
Listen, she's beautiful, but a shell is a shell, okay? And shells often have funky insides. And that's because, Gizelle is very flirty with her.
read upon Nene Leakes drinking wine, and that's what made you want to, like, okay, prepare for this interview you have with the casting director. Okay, so that's what Candiace had to say about Gizelle. Now, also Candiace spoke on her incident with colorism. So we're gonna play that as well, and then we're gonna end this video because I got another video to do before we do roast and review. So let's go ahead and listen to her thoughts about her experiences with colorism on the Real Housewives of Potomac. Let's check that out. Read upon Nene Leakes drinking wine, and that's what made you want to, like, okay, prepare for this interview you have with the casting director. You are on your way to becoming an icon like Kenya Moore. And hear me out.
I receive. Okay.
Pageant background, beautiful chocolate girl,
yeah.
A wordsmith, intelligent. And me working with Kenya, I always knew that the issues that Kenya had with some of the women, I'm not going to name names, but some of them was, Kenya, you're not only beautiful, but bitch, you're smart. and you know how to read. And when you read, when Kenya Moore season 7 at this group event where they had the doctor there, the therapist, his name is slipping my brain, and she said, you are a revisionist historian. Me and the producer said, what the fuck does that mean? And I literally Googled that, and I said, this bitch is so smart. And all the other housewives was like dumbfounded, like, wait, is that a read? You remind me so much of Kenya. And one thing that you are vocal about on Twitter is you feel that because you and Kenya are dark-skinned women.
Yes.
People love to villainize the two of you when y'all light-skinned counterparts can say the same thing
or worse.
They don't get the same treatment. And you really do say that a lot on Twitter. Can you talk to me about that, please?
Yes. I have not experienced colorism in the way that I have on this platform anywhere else in my life. And I grew up in predominantly white spaces. I have been the token Black girl in a lot of rooms. And even in those spaces, you know, you get the, oh, you're pretty to be a Black girl. You get that. But the colorism is nuanced, and it's often felt within your own cohort, within your own community. And I guess because I didn't have much of a community that looked like me growing up, that wasn't something that I was ever aware of or really made privy to until later in life. And then even then, it still was just never on my radar until this show. And, you know, I am doing my job and cussing and fussing and carrying on in a way that is similar to, I'll use Ashley as an example because we're similar in age. She brought me onto the show expecting, I think, that we would, you know, have a rapport. And, you know, Ashley is one who can get bucked. She can roll her neck. Her eyes can pop out of her head. She'll, you know, she gives you what needs to be given in the moment. And I started to notice, knowing that Ashley had given us those moments, those aggressive moments, that my time in giving those same moments were harped on much more intensely. And I really had to take a step back and say, what is it? Because at first you just say, what? Like you're just kind of dumbfounded. But you're saying that I'm aggressive, but we just watched her like get in somebody's face and do the finger and roll her neck and do all that. So it just dumbfounded me at first, but it took me having conversations with my real smart friends, my off-TV friends, to realize what I was experiencing was colorism. And it really, there was a conversation that we had, I believe, on a reunion where we were asked by Andy, I think, if we think that colorism exists on the show, and most of the women said no. And I will say that I don't know that the cast is necessarily engaging in it. Maybe there is some dog whistling, but it certainly comes from the audience. And I think that the beneficiaries of colorism have a responsibility to call that out, and I don't see that happening. Myself, Wendy, we can scream it all day. It literally is attached to racism. The oppressed we can't speak out. We can, but the liberation and the change and the overturning comes when the people that have the power are speaking out against it. And to deny that colorism exists is doing a disservice to all of us.
No, and listen, one of the examples that I'll give too is, one thing that Ashley and you do is y'all can read for film. And I am a fan of the both of y'all's, right? Because I think you guys are just fantastic reality stars and just know how to give great scenes. So for example, you called Ashley Widebody and got red for that. Meanwhile, Ashley made fun of Cherie's saggy titties, but did not get much of a scorn reading for that. I know for a fact that colorism exists in the scope of reality television, in the scope of the world, in the scope of the music industry. It is what it is, and it doesn't take me not being a Black woman to not see it. I see it. I see it based on Twitter, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people stay off of Twitter who are on reality TV, because it can definitely affect your mental health, knowing that people are really not equal in their disdain for a person, place, or thing. And one of the things that I know you dealt with your mental health was the unfortunate altercation that you and Monique had on the show. And as a Black man in this business, and I share this with Monique as well, I was devastated by that, only because, look, I know that unfortunately things just happen. Things happen, and that's just the way of life. We saw things just happen. Things happen, and that's just the way of life. We saw Will Smith slap Chris Rock on America's favorite award stage, and shit happens. Well, what I thought was funny was Will Packer, who's a friend of mine and who I love, he produced that Oscar special. No one blamed Will Packer, and they shouldn't have, because he had nothing to do with it. But when Black people are having a bad moment on reality TV, they blame Carlos King or they blame the other producers. And one of the things that I loved about your conversation that you had on camera and off camera was the fact that everybody saw the error in their ways, right? And I thought it was so special to at least have that honest conversation. How are you able to get past that? Because I know that for some people, it would have been hard to return to the show.
I don't know that I am past it.
Oh.
Because of the backlash that I received due to the acrobatics that were orchestrated by some, there are still people who, there obviously are strong opinions about that season. But to quote the ancient African proverb, revisionist history is a motherfucker. It's so easy to sit back and watch and decide that you know what happened in any space. And that's what reality television is for. It's an escape. And that's what I understand that my role is in this space for a lot of our viewers. But when the game is not played by the rules, and people who can't control their emotions want to get out of control and change the way the game is played, it becomes less about entertainment and more about, this is my real life. And I still have a lot of thoughts and feelings about the revisionist history. I obviously don't let it, overtake me. And I think that God has prepared the most immaculate table for me before all of my enemies. Therefore, I have no need to harp on whatever However, it's not something that just goes away. One of our SVPs, who's a dear friend of mine, her name is Lorraine. She said in Not All Diamonds and Rose that, I forget how she said it, but I talked to her at length for hours upon hours during that whole season 5, and she sort of accurately emoted for me when she said something to the effect of, I think Candiace was blindsided and she was really hurt by the chain of events because it's not something that she ever expected to happen. And she really thought that she was dealing with someone who she thought was her friend. And for her to put that into words, that it was just shock. Not so much, and I talk about this on Girls Trip too, not so much the physical part. That wasn't the shock. The shock was the spinning and the lying and the revisionist history that still reverberates amongst people who are just committed to misunderstanding me versus looking at facts and actually going back and reviewing the edited season. So yeah, it's an evolution that is still evolving.
Knowing that this happened a couple of years ago and Monique is no longer on the show, is there a world, knowing that you're spiritual and you, like me, you're God-fearing and we love the Bible and God talks about forgiveness, is there a world where you're able to forgive Monique and or be friends with her again?
I think I have forgiven her for me because that's my salvation that's at stake. I have forgiven her for me. I think it's impossible to move into a space of friendship with a human being who continues to live in delusion and in their version, in their revisionist history. This is someone who still goes into public spaces and calls me a child when the child is the person who can't just let it be, give it a no comment, or when these conversations come up, when these questions come up, it's about me. I'm not interested in insulting or creating unnecessary contention with a non-factor in my life. And again, there's too much increase in my life for me to go to that negative space. So no, the short answer is no. It just you can't rekindle something with someone who isn't there. And I also that's just not my portion. I don't need friends like that.
Read upon Nene Leakes drinking wine and read upon
Okay, and that was Candiace. She talked about colorism and she also talked about her situation with Monique on the show. So I'm gonna close this whole thing out by saying this. Um Candiace is not wrong about the colorism thing. I do think that colorism exists, especially on Real Housewives of Potomac, as well as with the fans. I know some people can be unbeknownst to colorism. Sometimes they don't realize that they're being a colorist. There's been a lot of people that's in my family that are colorists or have said colorist-esque things, and I never knew that until I got older. And anytime somebody was dark skinned, they always made it seem like they was ugly or something. But for me, I love dark skinned men. Them my types. I love me a dark skinned man. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, for real. So I do understand exactly where Candiace is coming from when it comes down to the colorism. I think she made some very valid points. Also, even with the Monique thing, anybody who has some sense and has a brain would know that her and Monique would never be friends again, and that's just dead on that. So I think that Candiace has every right to feel the way that she does. I think that Monique did it to herself, and I just don't see them ever being friends again. And even if they don't be friends again, child, it's understood. There's nothing nobody can say to make her change her mind. She got every right to feel the way that she does. With that being said, you got no. With that being said, you guys, this be your boy Scattered by Nature TV. Be sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and also click on the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a video drops. Also, if you want to follow me on any form of social media, my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok will be down in the description box below. If you want me to follow you back on any form of on Instagram, hit me up in the DMs with the hashtag message Scotty Gang, and I will definitely follow you back. All right, you guys, I'm out. I'm about to leave you guys with some promos, and I got one more video to do before Roast Review, and then I'll see you guys at Roast Review. Bye, y'all.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Tremel. I just wanted to say that I have a new project that's out. It's called Mixed Feelings. It's on all streaming platforms. I would hope that you would go and check it out. It's a really good feel of an album. It's got everything you need and more. It's got R&B, it's got a little bit of pop, it's got a little bit of hip hop. It's everything that you need and more. It's out all streaming platforms, like I said. Please check me out, and you can also follow me at IAM_Tremel. That's IAM_TRAMEL. Check me out. I hope to hear from you.